Everybody, this is just a quick video showing you who's going at each position in these rookie mock drafts. If you think you know who's going to go at this position, leave a comment down below. Who do you think it's going to be? And see if any of my guests who've been on agree with you. And before we get into it, hey, hit that like, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. We're on a march towards, 500 subscribers. I'd love to be able to do it before we get into this season of football. That'd be awesome. So help me out and let's go. Let's see who's going. We're going to go through round number 2 as well. So who's going to kick off round 2 for you?
Round 2 is going to be started with the guy at the top there, Zach Charbonnet. I do like Zach Charbonnet. I wasn't a big fan of the landing spot. And I know the Seahawks they do like to run the ball and everything like that. But I like Kenneth Walker, and I thought he really stood out last year. But I still think he will see some kind of workload. I don't think it'll be enough that he's a week in, week out flex player or running back player. I don't think that's where I see him, but I do see him eventually carving out a role in this offense.
Yeah, I think he'll have a pretty decent role. I think he's someone on a bye week you can stick out in your flex and be like pretty happy about it. He'll probably catch a few more passes than Kenneth Walker will. And they both have the same draft capital. They're both second round running backs. Walker was just that last year. Charbonnet this year. You never know who's going to win out.
I think I'd be quite happy to take him in best ball leagues. I think in a best ball league, I think he will have them weeks where it's a Zach Charbonnet kind of week, and in best ball, he's a player that I'd quite happily smash. To be honest, mate, I'd quite happily smash that Seahawks stack. To be honest,
yeah,
I think that's one that you don't have to get your players in round 1, round 2, but I think you can definitely put together a Seahawks stack, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Leading the Seahawks run game for sure. So who's following up Zach Charbonnet at the second pick of the second round?
Did I just see him there? No, keep scrolling down. You're going to like this one, I think.
Ooh.
There he is. Rashee Rice.
Talk to me about Rashee Rice.
Now, so I may be falling into this trap, and I probably do it every year. I got burnt by Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Sky Moore.
I did it with Sky Moore, and I'm probably doing the same again. But I'm really sorry. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to say it. I want the wide receiver that is attached to the best passer in the NFL. Yeah. You know, he never, his standout guy is Travis Kelce, and you won't ever change that. But he spreads the ball to everyone. Everyone gets to go. You have a ball, you have a ball, you have a ball. And mate, I did say a lot of these players are not going to be week in, week out players. Then, you may find one, maybe two that you could probably start each week. But, we're looking for players that maybe hit, and I want the guy that's on one of the best and probably highest scoring offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
Give me Rice. Give me Rice.
Rashee Rice for me, if he comes in and looks good in week 1, he's a guy that you can sell almost like for a 24 first round immediately. Because the second he looks good in that team, it never really happened for Sky Moore. Sky Moore scored his first touchdown in the Super Bowl. So he never really had that moment. If Rashee Rice comes in week 1 and looks good and looks strong, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be taking the profit for him as well, because I think you can get 24 first for him right away. Because you're right, unless he's called Travis Kelce, you're not seeing double-digit targets a game. You're just not, because that's who he goes to. That's his guy. And sure, you might say, but whenever Kelce retires, you never know. Look at that Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver core just 2-3 years ago. It's a different team. So when Kelce retires, it's going to be a different team again. So don't bank on that. Plus, Travis Kelsey's going to play to his 50s. He's never going to retire.
Yeah, I was about to say, what are you talking about? Travis Kelsey's never going to retire, mate.
Never.
No,
like it's
never going to retire. And I remember a few years ago, people were actually, so when Pitts came into the league, people were valuing Pitts over Kelsey because they were like, oh, he's getting on a bit now and stuff like this. And mate, 2 years down the line, we're now putting Kelsey above Pitts, going, he's just going to go forever. Like, it's he's the Tom Brady of the tight end position. He's going to be 44 and still catching passes from Kelsey, from Mahomes.
Look how good Gronk looked whenever he came back. He looked awesome. That guy's like so old.
Yeah, but his body was so broken, he needed a year off to just heal,
So, Rashee Rice is nice value there, and he could also be a nice trade candidate as well, I think, if he hits early on. So, who's following Rashee Rice then at pick 2-3?
That would be Jonathan Mingo.
Talk to me about Jonathan Mingo.
I think the Panthers were screaming out for a wide receiver now that they traded DJ Moore away. I think they've got a gap to fill. I know they've brought in Adam Thielen, but he's not going to step up as that alpha wide receiver in this team. He will catch passes, and he will definitely be an asset there for 12 months. But I think Mingo is somebody who could carve out a really, really, really solid role in this team. And again, talking about stacks, if you could pick Bryce Young at 103 and Mingo at 203, then you've got a nice little pair to put together there.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And he's got an opportunity, and that is huge in the NFL. All these guys are good players. All these guys are super talented. They need a chance just a lot of the time. And Mingo's got as good a chance as anybody else in this draft class. So let's see what he can do. He's been given, the opportunity on the silver platter. So, go for it, man. Why not take him there, especially in the second round? Just get a guy that's going to get a chance in Mingo. So he's locked in. And who's following up in the second round then?
Jaden Reed.
Same thing, right?
Wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Similar thing. I think they've taken a couple of wide receiver rookies the last couple of years. Christian Watson. He's a guy I do like. Christian Watson. But again, there is no dominant alpha in this team. There's nobody's carved out that one role or anything like that. It's anyone's guess at the moment. And I think Jaden Reed's got the ability to step up, and I suppose any one of them, Watson or Romeo Dubs, they've all got that chance. But again, everything now is an educated guess, isn't it? We're sitting here, and people will feel that other players should have gone before these, and it's like it's an opinion now, isn't it? And in my opinion, I want somebody who could go out and in 12 months' time, you could be flipping for a first. If you can get a 204 here and he carves out a role and somebody goes, oh, I really like him. And you're like, well, there you go. Have him for your 24 first. You're flipping that 24 first into something and a better asset, So it's definitely somebody that I do like here, Jaden Reed, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on as well. Like nobody really knows what's going to happen with these guys, especially as we creep towards the back end of the second round. So, same with Mingo. This guy's got a chance. Jordan Love, I don't know why. I feel kind of good about Jordan Love next year. I might be crazy. I don't know. I just have a feeling. I think he's going to be okay, actually. Not great, but I think I don't know. I think he's going to be okay. Am I crazy for that?
No, you're not crazy. I think part of what he's going to do this year is he's going to stick his middle finger up and go, you've left me sit there for so long. This is what you had.
Yeah.
And, as a bit of a look, like a bit like bullseye, look at what you could have won. You've been playing that, that grumpy prick over there the last 3 years he's been on the bench now. And I think he's going to go and go, look, you could have got rid of him years ago and saved yourself a lot of money.
almost exactly like what Aaron Rodgers did to Favre, right?
That's it.
That'd be pretty cool. I would like
As
that.
long as when they beat the Bears, he walks up to them going, "I own you."
Oh no!
Otherwise, his season hasn't been a success.
When they beat the Jets, even better. Even better. They beat the Jets, go up to Rodgers. I own
you.
That'd be, yeah, that needs to happen. So hopefully he'll connect with Jalen Reed for that to happen. And who's going to follow him up then? We're pick 5 of the second round. Who's going to be?
So if it was tight end premium, I'd probably make a discussion for Michael Mayer, but it's not tight end premium, so I'm not going to bring him in, but I am going to bring in somebody who I suppose he's going to have a role if one of the players is trading away, and that's Mims at the Denver Broncos, Marvin Mims. I do think he needs, with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy there, I think this
sucks.
He's
so bad. I've never got it.
Oh, okay. Well, I quite like Cortland Sutton, and I suppose that's probably why I'm always at the 101, but I do think there's a lot of mouths to feed there. There is, so I think he will do better if one of them guys are traded.
Yeah,
and I think Russell Wilson is going to be a lot better this year. I think everything is going to be arrows up for him. I'm not saying he's going to be the elite Russell Wilson that we knew years ago, but I do think with Sean Payton, I think he's going to be better this year. I think the ball's going to be spread a bit more, and I think as long as I think it'll be Cortland Sutton that goes.
Yeah,
and I think Mims will step in as that wide receiver 2 behind Jeudy then.
There's certain weight to being the first guy that Sean Payton drafts, right? Something there. They were delighted when they got him in. They're obviously going to use him. Yeah, I'm excited for Mims. He was kind of a well-kept secret for a while, and then everyone found out about him. So I'm still excited about Mims. People are kind of dying down a little bit on him. I think he's great value here, just around this kind of, like, you see him go usually like around the kind of this 2-2 to 2, like 5-2-6 kind of area. I think that is great value for Marvin Mims. So who's going to follow him up then, Paul, at pick 2-6?
So I think this is where the value comes back.
Yeah.
I think now we get into that territory of, I think you're smashing running backs for a while. And I think the standout running back on that list for me is Tank Bigsby at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he'll be a good asset to play alongside ETN this year. And I suppose with every running back now, even from Charbonnet, I think they're all your guys that you're going to draft. And if there's an injury, I think they're a guy that you're putting straight on the market then. And Tank Bigsby is going to be one of them. If ETN goes down, I think I'd be straight to the ETN owner going, here's Tank Bigsby. He's gonna step into that role. He's obviously going to carve out his own role. He's not predominantly sitting on that bench waiting for an injury, I think. But if all of these guys now, if they get an injury, they're an injury away from being a week in, week out plug and play kind of guy,
Yeah, I think that the Jaguars would be foolish to use ETN as a workhorse running back as well, because I just don't think he has the physicality for it. So bringing in Bigsby to get that slice of the workload, he should be able to carve out a nice role for himself. And again, bye week kind of guy, you can slot him in, and then if there is an injury, awesome for everyone. And he's a good player as well. Like he is. He's a good player. Yeah, so that's, you want good players in your team more than anything else. So you got a really good player there at 2-6. So are you staying with running back at 2-7 then?
Yes, I think I am, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am. He's Tajay Spears.
Yeah,
like Tajay Spears there. Again, I think the king is either on his way out or on his way to calling it a day. We've been saying this since I started playing fantasy football. He's gonna in 1 year he's gonna slow down. He's gonna slow down. He's gonna slow down. I don't know his actual age. Is he 30 or 31? Something like that.
Ageless.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm frantically trying to find out how old he is. He's 29. Oh, he's got years. Take that pick off. He's got years left in the tank. What we on about? But no, I think he's going to start slowing down now. I know he's fit and he's healthy and he works out. I love his workouts. To be fair, they're a bit mental. But I do think that the Titans are in a rebuild, or they have maybe not admitted that they're in a rebuild yet, but they're getting to that point where they're in a rebuild, and I think he's the first asset that's out the door. I actually thought if the Falcons didn't get Bijan, I thought Arthur Smith would have been in touch with the Titans and gone, well, what we talking? I want my guy Henry to come over here, sort of thing, like, and maybe went out and got him, but they drafted Bijan.
Can you imagine if they did that anyway? The pandemonium.
Oh, mate.
If they drafted Bijan and also traded Derrick Henry.
Oh, it'd implode. Mate, you'd be seeing Bijan go like pick 106 or something, you know what I mean? Everybody would be like, I'm out on him. They've traded for Derrick Henry. Oh, God.
I'm convinced Bijan can play wide receiver anyway. He'd be fine. That guy's awesome. It's just, yeah. But yeah, Tajay Spears, the man with no ACL, so can't get injured there. So that's great to hear for him. So we got Tajay Spears locked in. Prince Tajay. I mean, I'm calling Prince Tajay. Do you like that?
Yeah, I remember you saying that on your show. I was like, oh, I'm gonna drop that in when I pick him, but I completely forgot.
Yeah, Prince Tajay. He's locked in. So who's following the Prince?
So who's following Prince is Kendre Miller.
Yep, absolutely.
There's a lot of talk of Kamara potentially missing 6 games. He's somebody that's going to be stepping in. He could be stepping into that role for them 6 games that he's not there. I'm not sure what's left on Kamara's deal. I've got a feeling that he may be a free agent next year.
Seems about right, doesn't it?
Don't quote me, but I believe I've seen somewhere or something in my head is telling me that it's next year. So I think Miller in them 6 games, if he does get some kind of ban, I think in them 6-game ban, he's got an audition. Yeah, and you know what I mean. And I think if he can prove himself in them 6 games, I think that'd be somebody that they'd be maybe looking to move forward with. So I like Kendre Miller here, and that's the end of our running back run, to be honest.
Ooh, so that's the end of our running backs. We got 4 picks left. Is it time now without tight end premium? Are you thinking, is it Michael Mayer time? Is it not?
No. So there's two players that I do like, and I'm going to go with Josh Downs.
Yep,
Josh Downs, the wide receiver at the Colts. I think he could be somebody that is utilized a lot this year. He could be, he could have quite a good role in it. And if he can get that connection with Anthony Richardson, they're both rookies coming in together. You know, I think it'll be an interesting little combo to see build. You know.
Yeah, I think Josh Downs is a really nice compliment, like for Michael Pittman Jr. as well. People sleeping on Michael Pittman Jr. is so good. People sleeping on Michael Pittman Jr., I'm sure of it. But yeah, I think Josh Downs is a really nice compliment to him. And then you're right, could pair up nicely with their new quarterback who they might not trust to unleash the ball right away. And if they don't trust him to unleash the ball, who's going to be there? Josh Downs is going to be there right over the middle, nice and simple. So he could eat up some targets in the first couple of weeks for sure. So you got 3 picks left. Who's going to be your third last pick in the second round?
The other guy that I really like right here is Tank Dell.
Yes, same idea, right?
The Houston wide receiver again, like we were talking about with Mims and not Mims, Reed and who was the other one we were talking about? His name's gone from me. We were talking about Reed and saying that
not Reed and Mingo.
Mingo. Yeah, so Tank Dell's sort of similar sort of theory here and strategy that, with Cook's gone now, isn't he? So there is, I know,
Bobby Trees is in.
what's his name?
Robert Woods.
Yeah, Robert Woods. Who's the other one? He's still young. Nico Collins. Nico Collins.
Yeah. And John Mechie is back.
John Mechie's back. But I think again, there's no, I don't think any of them have got a set role. You're not going to look at these and go, oh, he's 1, he's 2, he's 3, he's 4.
Yeah.
I think they've all got a role to play for here, and they're obviously going to battle it out in camp, and when you will see who the standout players are when you get to like week 1 and week 2 and stuff like that. But I think Tank Dell has got every opportunity to have a role here, and at the back of the second, I'm quite happy to take that risk.
Absolutely, yeah. He's so talented. Like, he's one of the more talented receivers in this draft class. It's just a shame how small he is. He's just going to have to be, but he has his whole career. He's just going to have to be careful about what he does when he gets the ball in his hands, because he just can't get hit by these guys. He cannot get smashed by some of these players he's playing up against. So he's going to have to be very careful. But he knows that already. He's not stupid. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Tank can do at the Texans. And you got 2 picks left. Who's rocking up at pick 211?
So he's actually on the board there, and I'm going to go with Jalen Hyatt at the Giants.
Yes,
I know. There's a lot of wide receivers at the Giants. They that are average.
Yeah,
and do you know what? I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot for Hyatt, to be honest. And I'm quite excited to see what he does. And do you know what? I don't want to sit here and say about every player and they can all carve a role and everything like this, because they can and they may not. They may hit, they may not. But Jalen Hyatt, for me, he could quite easily carve himself a nice little role in that team, and sort of, like you said, in bye weeks, he may be somebody that you can put in a flex spot and he'll score you 8, maybe 9 points, catch a couple of passes for, you're talking 3-4 passes for 60 yards, and you're quite happy with that. Like, you're talking 7-8 points there, aren't you? So he's definitely somebody that I'd quite like on my bench.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is about right for Hyatt. He's been criminally underrated. I got Jalen Hyatt. You ready for this? In the 4th round in one of my rookie drafts.
So I'm not trying to beat you here, but no, this wasn't Jalen Hyatt. So I'm trying to find the league now. We're drafting at the moment. So I got Jaden Reed. Okay. The guy that we took at 204, I got him at 304.
Nice. A full round is so, like, whenever you're deliberate, that's one of the best feelings in fantasy, right? Usually when it happens in a startup, but if his rookie draft just slammed up, where you're like torn between 2 players, and then the guy you didn't pick comes back to you anyway. It's just like, yes.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
It is. It's what we like to call euphoria.
Absolutely euphoric. And I'm sure your last pick is going to be a really euphoric one. So tell us, who's it going to be?
I doubt it very much. But at this point, I would again sort of be in that range of Michael Mayer. I think he's an outstanding tight end. He really is. I think before the draft, a lot of people said he was the best tight end in this class. And then obviously draft capital played its part and stuff like that. And he's now the second. But yeah, I think the back end of the second, if you could get somebody like Michael Mayer, who could for a couple of years be a good tight end, and he gets to play in Tom Brady's Las Vegas Raiders, so
absolutely.
I have seen that today, haven't I? Tom Brady has bought into the Raiders, hasn't he?
Is that officially been done? I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's official. I've seen something about he's apparently buying into the Raiders. So He could be the starting quarterback there next year. We don't know.
Jimmy Garoppolo must hate that guy. He's like, I can't get like I was drafted
Can't
in to
get
be his
away
replacement.
from this guy.
Imagine that. Yeah, like Garoppolo drafted in to be Brady's replacement, and Brady replaces Garoppolo.
He has to sit behind him at the Patriots. Then he goes to the 49ers. And then they look like they're going to start Jimmy. And then there's talk that Brady's going to come to the 49ers. Then he doesn't. Then they draft Trey Lance. Then he goes to the Raiders. Like, I finally got my starting role. And then Tom Brady buys the team just to go, no.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's got to be so sad when he goes home to his supermodel wife and cries into his $1 million blanket. Like he's got to be absolutely
on his $100 bill mattress, you know.
Yeah, just like wiping the tears. Yeah, poor Jimmy. Yeah, crying.
I'm just gonna go for a swim in the pool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Michael Mayer there, who's going to be there to witness the demise of Jimmy Garoppolo over at the Raiders. And at the start of the second round, it's going to stay pretty chalky as well. I'm going to go with Zach Charbonnet here. I think that he was everyone's sort of consensus running back 2 coming in. I think he's definitely talented. He's a really good player. He's coming into a Seahawks team that love to run the ball. So he's going to get plenty of opportunity, on the ground. And I think he's going to be the pass catching back as well for them. I'm pretty sure that's why he's been brought in to do that role.
Yeah, I think he can be the better receiving back in that field. To be fair, and like you said, when I was on, it was him and Kenneth Walker have both got the same draft capital. So yeah, I think they're both similar kind of value players in a sense of either one could win that role there. So yeah, I suppose you want a piece of that cake. So let's go straight into the 202. Are you keen to pull the trigger on another tight end at the moment, or
not just yet? I don't think because it's not tight end premium as we talked about. But I think Dalton Kincaid will be utilized as like a big receiver. Michael Mayer's going to play tight end. Like Michael Mayer is going to be blocking people. Michael Mayer is going to catch some passes, but he's going to do all the dirty work at tight end. Sam Laporta, maybe not so much. So he's an interesting guy. We'll get to him or Michael Mayer a little bit later, I'm sure, but not quite for now, because now what I'm going to do is at 2-2, I'm going to take Kendre Miller here at 2-2. I think he's a guy that he's got an opportunity. And I'm thinking about, right, what's happening with Alvin Kamara's legal situation? What is happening overall at the Saints? Is Alvin Kamara even going to play at all next year? Kendre Miller is the next guy up, I think, in that offense. And he's a good player. I was beating the drum for Kendre Miller the whole sort of pre-draft process. Everybody had Zach Evans ahead of Kendre Miller. I was like, what the hell are people watching? I couldn't understand it, because this is a guy, we've seen them both play in the same team, and I seen Kendre Miller play better. And then we've seen Zach Evans transfer, and we've seen him lose snaps to Rashawn Judkins. Believe me, we're going to be talking about that guy Judkins in a couple of years. He is very, very good. But I always thought Kendre Miller was a better running back. I'm glad that he got the draft capital. The only thing that does concern me is the heights that he has jumped up, pre-combine and pre-NFL draft. When we did rookie mocks, you get Kendre Miller, sometimes even back end of the second, third round. He has jumped up almost a full round in ADP. So that does worry me a little bit when someone jumps that much. But in terms of opportunity, that is, so important at that running back position. Just get on the field. We've seen less talented guys than Kendre Miller do really well at running back in the NFL.
Do you worry that Jamal Williams will step in as that goal line back like he did at Detroit last year? Do you think that Kendre Miller, in the games where Alvin Kamara is potentially not there, do you think that do you worry that maybe he's the guy, a bit like DeAndre Swift? He was the guy to get them down the field, and then all of a sudden they're on the 5-yard line and Jamal Williams is the back and he just runs straight through the middle of everyone, Do you worry about that role for him?
Yeah, that could definitely happen. The only thing about that is, we haven't seen Jamal Williams do that, on that level super consistently. He might have had a career year last year, and he probably did. I guess as good as we'll ever see Jamal Williams playing.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see when Alvin Kamara is out of contract, because that's the other thing that could play into Kendra Miller's hands is when Kamara is out of contract. But yeah, we'll move swiftly on to the 203. Are we continuing this running back run, or are we going to go to a different position?
Yeah, so this is where it gets a little bit like, could take this guy. This is where the draft kind of becomes a little bit less and less exciting. I'm actually going to go back.
It's quite personal now, isn't it? It's who you've personally got a preference on. A lot of these players are very similar in ADP and everything like that. And I think we're at the point now where it's your personal opinion on who you would take at this point.
And what I'm probably doing here is if I have multiple drafts where I have the 2-3, I'm taking multiple different people. And I'm just spreading across who I've picked in what situation. But what I'm going to go with is the guy that I think I picked at 2-3 just today, Marvin Mims here at 2-3. Again, just based on who do I think is going to have an opportunity. I think Sean Payton taking him as his first pick is really important. I think the fact that they've got Jerry Jeudy in there, who is like a real solid receiver, but has had trouble staying healthy. They've got Courtland Sutton, who's terrible, who's not going to be any competition at all. I think Marvin Mims can be used really cleverly. They can run sweeps with him. They can get him involved. The guy's really, really quick. He sneakily put up 1,000 yards in college last year. He's got Russell Wilson, who knows what's going to happen? He's got to be better. He's got to be better, right? And if he's not, I know people are like, oh, well, the Broncos, they're tied to him for so many years. Sean Payton, he did not sign that contract to lose. He'll bench Russell Wilson happily. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But I think he's got a chance to succeed.
That hot seat is getting to you, man. You're on about benching Russell Wilson now. Woo, we're bringing the heat. I love the Mims pick. I think he can. If Russ cooks, he can be a great pick there. And that takes us to the 204. And we're what part of the country are we off to now?
Yeah, the 2-4. So there's a couple of people that we could go with here. I'm just kind of scrolling down to make sure I'm not missing anybody in particular. I don't think of that. I am. At the 2-4 here, I'm going to lock in Rashee Rice. So
what a great pick.
Is that exactly who you picked at 2-4?
No, I think I had them two the other way around.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rashee Rice, and a guy that I want to come away with some shares of. Don't be shocked if he comes out. I think Rashee Rice is another taxi squad guy. I think don't be shocked. It takes rookies in Andy Reid's system a long time to figure it out and to learn the playbook. Okay, the reason why Mahomes and Reid are such an amazing duo. Patrick Mahomes not only has he got the best arm in the NFL, he's got photographic memory as well. So this guy reads something and has it immediately. So it's almost like Andy Reid has got his own like PlayStation controller with Patrick Mahomes. He's just doing exactly what he wants to do. Rashee Rice is going to struggle to learn that playbook, just like Sky Moore struggled to learn that playbook, just like Clyde Edwards-Helaire even struggled to learn that playbook. Rookies find it hard traditionally in the Andy Reid system. So again, don't be shocked, just like Zay Flowers, if Rashee Rice comes out and doesn't post any points one week. Stick him on your taxi squad. Just wait and see. You'll probably see Sky Moore come on a little bit this year because he's had time to learn that system. You probably see other people come on a little bit. But Rashee Rice, I think you got to wait on him until he really flourishes.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I said I always want pieces of one of the best teams in the NFL, and it pains me to say, but the Chiefs are one of the best teams in the NFL. If you have to leave him on your taxi squad for 12 months, you leave him on your taxi squad for 12 months.
Yeah,
he may hit, he may not, but I want pieces of that Chiefs team because there's a lot of success there for a long time to come. And so with that, we'll move into the 205 and to your next pick, Mags.
Yeah, at 205 here, I'm going with Tajay Spears, actually. A guy that he's on tape. He's so exciting to watch. He's someone that everyone fell in love with during the Senior Bowl. We all see what he did to that linebacker from Pitt, who's still sliding down. Like, he still has not got up. He absolutely had him on toast. Like, the fact that he's ended up on the Titans for this year, bad. All right. But we all know the cliff is coming for Derrick Henry eventually. And Tajay Spears is good enough to lead an NFL offense. I'm sure of it. He's shown enough on tape. He's going to learn from Derrick Henry, who, I mean, you may, like, everyone might just think, oh, Derrick Henry's only good because he's like the biggest and strongest guy. Derrick Henry reads offenses really well. Derrick Henry makes really clever cuts. Derrick Henry, people forget, when he came into the NFL, he wasn't the Derrick Henry we know now. He had to work hard. He had to stop running into people, just trying to bulldoze people over. He had to learn things. So that wisdom hopefully is there that he can pass on, King Henry to Prince Tajay.
Are you worried that he has no ACLs?
Can't injure them, mate.
Yeah,
can't pull an ACL if it's not there.
I suppose you can't do it. You can't do it, but I don't know. I don't think you. So it worries me a little bit. It worries me that he, if I suppose I'm looking at it in a sense, and I may be completely wrong with this, but if you were better and you can't tear your ACL if you haven't got an ACL, surely it would be a thing where everyone's like, I'm just going to get rid of my ACL, then I can't tear it. It's not there, But
they might after Tajay.
Yeah, he's the only one I know that hasn't got an ACL. So
yeah,
I don't know. He may surprise us, but
what doesn't put me off from that is the Tennessee Titans are a multi-million-dollar corporation with the best doctors money can buy, and they've okayed it. So if it's good enough for them, good enough for me.
Good enough for you. It's good enough for two.
Yes.
Sorry, we're just singing songs here. But yeah, so Mags, we'll go straight into the 206 and your next pick. Are we in the area where we'd be discussing another tight end yet, or are we still not quite there yet?
Not quite. We're getting closer though for sure. I quite like a couple of these running backs here, but maybe a little bit later on. We're going to actually have a little look at the wide receiver well again, and we're going to go with Josh Downs. Josh Downs, a guy. So almost the opposite of what we spoke about with Kendre Miller, where he's risen up a full round. Josh Downs has dropped down from his pre sort of draft. He's dropped down quite a bit, and I'm quite happy to pick a guy that everybody was high on based on just the tape and just his performance at the combine. I'm quite happy to take him here, 6 or so picks later than he was going before the draft, because he didn't actually get that bad of a landing spot, and his draft capital was maybe a round later than we thought, but not drastically further than what I thought he was going to go.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to answer you the same way you answered me when I took it. He's a good compliment to Michael Pittman.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Wise words.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. The guy that said that is a very, very wise man. And with that, we're going to go straight into your 207. What are we saying here then, Mags? Are we going to go running back, or are we sticking with the wide receiver?
Yeah, so if we look at the receivers left here, there's a couple of guys that have sort of shot up the draft board. I'm going to go with one of them, even though I don't necessarily love it. I'm going to go Jonathan Mingo here. The reason why I don't love it is because he's someone that hasn't risen up slightly. He has drastically risen up the board. Him and another guy we might talk about a little bit later, both of them risen up, guys that were going in the 4th round, before we had our draft night. And obviously they got good draft capital, but these are players that on tape people thought were 4th round players, and now people are saying they're 2nd round players. Sits a little uneasy with me. So I think I've maybe taken Mingo a little bit later than most would here. He might not be here, at this stage. I've seen some people even take him as high as the 1st, but this is where I'm putting him based on, averages and things put together.
Yeah, so but I understand what you're saying, that you know all these people thought he was a fourth round wide receiver, but the NFL, you know, the Carolina Panthers as such thought that he was worthy of
Yeah.
the second round draft capital, so they're fairly high on him, and that gives me you know a lot of fantasy analysts and everything like that. They always say they don't really look at landing spot; they look at draft capital more than anything.
Yeah.
And he has the draft capital here to, I suppose, warrant being picked this early. You know what I mean? And I suppose a lot of fantasy analysts looked at him and thought he's not that great. He's a fourth round pick, but in reality, the NFL have gone, or you know, Carolina Panthers have gone. He's worth a second round pick. Let's go and get him. So I'm quite confident in the fact that the Panthers gave him such high draft capital that I think he is. You know, I wouldn't be taking him much before this. You know, I definitely wouldn't go in the first. I don't think he's a first round player for me, but yeah, I think that's outstanding value at 207, if I'm honest. And with that, we're going to go straight into the 208 and your next pick.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to find actually like a list of wide receivers that have been like taken in the second round of the NFL draft the last couple of years. It's not great reading. Just said that. Not great reading. So I know it is good draft capital technically, but it doesn't guarantee success. But we'll have to wait and see
But
with Mingo.
I'm not saying he is going to get that success.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Every single person is a risk, a dart throw. I think if you look at the percentage of how many fantasy wide receivers hit in round 2, you're probably talking 20% or less. Like, you know, if
absolutely.
So when you look at that and you go 20%, you're probably looking at one of the, say, if you draft 5, one of the wide receivers is going to be fantasy relevant. You know what I mean?
That's maths.
You know what I mean? We're not only are we teaching you about fantasy, we're teaching you maths as well. Big Shaq's going to write a song about me and you, Mags. You know,
yeah.
But to me, it is every pick is a risk. Everyone is an educated thing. But if I'm always going to look at people that I do look at landing spots. I know people don't look at, I don't care about landing spots. It's talent over landing spots and stuff. But I think that's round 1. Round 2 to me is a landing spot can change everything, you know. And Rashee Rice, maybe you can confirm, what round was he picked?
Back end of the second, sort of start of the third.
You know what I mean? He's around that area. So his, Jonathan Mingo was taken before him in the NFL draft, but I prefer Rice because of the landing spot. You know, they both got the same round draft capital in the NFL draft, but I'm higher up on him because he landed with the Chiefs. But I think Mingo's a great pick. But we're getting a bit off track now, so let's go back to your 208. You know, let's find out where we're going.
Let's get 208 locked in, and I'm going to go back, I think, to running back well here. I'm going to take Roschon Johnson here. Again, I'm thinking about potential. What chances does he have? I think he's going to share a backfield probably with Khalil Herbert next year. Justin Fields does worry me a little bit, how much he runs with the ball. But Roschon Johnson, I think, is a pretty good pass catcher. I think Khalil Herbert, I think him and Khalil Herbert are very, evenly matched. I think I'm going to like watching those two. It could be a real, actual 50-50 split. Hopefully, the Bears are slightly better and they're not just going to be playing from behind the whole time again. But if I'm just trying to see a path for Roschon Johnson to become the main guy in an offense, I can kind of see it if I squint, which I'm happy enough with at the second round.
Yeah. I love that pick there, to be fair. Real big fan of it. So we're going to go to the 209 and your next player.
Yeah, 209. This is where I'm tempted to bring in here. I'm actually going to go probably a little bit earlier than you should. I'm actually going to lock in Sam Laporta here. Now, the reason for that is Jameson Williams, right? He's not going to play for a while. So Sam Laporta has just suddenly got himself a bit of an opportunity on that team. He's got, obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown is there. He's obviously got Jahmyr Gibbs there. But everybody else knows that as well. So I think Sam Laporta could see himself, in an opportunity where he can catch quite a lot of passes. We've seen it already with TJ Hawkinson. He thrived in that offense. One thing I will say, though, is we heard the rumors that Dan Campbell got rid of DeAndre Swift because he was quote-unquote soft. Sam Laporta better block, and he better do it well. Otherwise, he's not going to even be on the field. That's my only trepidation with Sam Laporta is if Dan Campbell gets in his head that you can't block, you're not tough enough, he's not even going to play at all. But if he does, I think he's got a really good chance of carving out a nice pass-catching role, especially with Williams gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Laporta this year, to be fair, in this draft. I think maybe a bit early if it's non-tight end premium. I think tight end premium, you're definitely at that point where we'd be discussing these tight ends. And I do like Laporta, to be fair. He's my tight end 3 in this rookie class. So maybe we get to chat about the other one, but
the reason I've gone from there really is like next up at 210, I'm looking at the guys who have got here. Do I see an opportunity for any of these running backs being like the guy, like carving out a significant role? Not really. The wide receivers, not really. Not really. If I look at it, do I see any of them really taking over there? It's like, I can't really see that. Sam Laporta, I think, has a chance to break through that glass ceiling at tight end that I don't think Michael Mayer has any chance of doing. I don't think Michael Mayer is going to be a top 6 tight end. Like, he's going to finish in that tight end like mush, where Hayden Hurst lives, where Evan Ingram lives, where all these other guys live, and they all switch around every single year, and they all get basically the same amount of points. Yeah. And that's because he's so good at football. Like, he's an amazing blocker. He's going to block so much. He's a very, very talented player. But I'm looking for good fantasy players. I think Sam Laporta will be a better fantasy player and potentially just get me more points than these guys. I'm just looking to pick up points. So I think Sam Laporta will get me points. And at this pick, that's my same kind of thought here. Who's going to pick me up some points here? I think it's going to be Jalen Hyatt from these guys. He's got little to no competition there at New York. He's a guy we know has home run ability. We know can break off these big plays. Perfect best ball player, Jalen Hyatt, I think. So he's got a chance to carve out a nice role there, become even like the number 1 receiver there. Obviously, Darren Waller might end up being the number 1 target, but I think Hyatt's got a chance to carve himself out a nice role. And that's all I'm looking for at this point is who's got a chance to get on the field and score points. And I think these guys do.
Yeah, I agree. I love the spiciness of, you think Darren Waller's going to be the number 1 target in that team?
I mean, my boy Daniel Bellinger, though, let's not forget about him. Like, just saying,
I mean, your one true love, your one true love, Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah.
Where's he, like 15th target now? Like,
Yeah, Daniel Bellinger is. It's my spiciest take of the whole offseason. It's going to be that Daniel Bellinger is going to play better than Darren Waller, and Darren Waller is going to lose snaps and that. That's the spiciest one I've got.
The hot seat's getting to him.
It's too much. It's way too.
If your head was further up in this screen, mate, you wouldn't have said that. But you're down there and you're just like
the flames. It's hot.
Throwing flame balls out everywhere.
It is.
You heard it here first, guys. Hot Seat Mags thinks that Daniel Bellinger is going to beat Darren Waller in the tight end battle at New York. So
easily.
With that, we're going to go straight into the 211. You can't say things like this about players. saying, I remember saying that Kyle Pitts was average, and I just got abused for it every time. So every time I just mentioned there, so you can't say that he's going to easily beat him because people will just abuse you for it.
Daniel Bellinger's a dynasty darling. I should be okay. I hope I should be okay with that.
But yeah, where are we going at 211 then, mate?
All right, 211. Do I take Hendon Hooker here? No, not really. I don't think I'm going to take Hendon Hooker at 211.
I think he's in the conversation now at this point.
I think this is almost time for Hendon Hooker. Looking at the other guys that are still available, I mean, I suppose here I'll have to take this guy right. Again, I don't really like the talent too much. Jalen Reed, he got the good draft capital. Again, he's moving up. Actually, he's the only guy that during my pre-draft process I gathered ADP from like any kind of dynasty show you can think of. I watched their mock draft and I wrote down who they drafted. Jalen Reed pre-combine didn't appear once in any draft at all. 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 2 rounds, whatever it was. I did not see the name Jalen Reed mentioned in any mock draft that I watched. And now he obviously has good draft capital. He's going high up in these drafts. I'm happy enough taking him at the back of the second because of the draft capital, because of what people are saying, because he's got a chance to carve out a role. But I wouldn't be shocked if, in 2 years' time, people are like, what was that guy called that the Packers took?
Yeah. So I am a member of Rich Cooling's Patreon.
Yeah.
And I'm probably quite high on him because listening to Rich talk about him, and Rich is very high on Jaden Reed, and he's opened my eyes to him a little bit. I'm a bit higher than you on Jaden Reed. So but yeah, I'm happy to take him, pull the trigger earlier. If I mentioned in my show, I think I got him at the 304 in one of my drafts. So if I'm at the back end of the second and he's still there, I'm pulling the trigger at 211. I'm very happy with getting him there, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And that helps. And that's like good advice for everybody, even if it's a player that you're not particularly high on. Like if other people like Rich Cooling or like Tom or like other people are really high on players, you gotta listen to those guys because you're not going to be right every single time. So the reason why I'm willing to take Jalen Reed with a second round pick is because guys like that who I listen to and who I trust, and I'll listen to more than like one podcast, listen to a few different ones, and if a couple of people are saying take this guy high, then put your opinion aside for a while and don't be afraid to take them.
Yeah, these like you said, I kind of listen to these guys and do trust these guys. We're obviously part of the wildcard crew and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I listen to them sort of people, and I listen to all their podcasts and stuff. And Jaden Reed is a name I've heard quite a few times now. So I'm smashing it. 211. I'm absolutely smashing that pick. But that's going to bring us to the last pick of the hot seat Mags' rookie draft, and where are we going to go? Are you going to bring some spice with this last pick? And
I'm like, how I'm scrolling down.
Zach Kuntz, are you going to pick him?
I've picked up a lot of Zach Kuntz, by the way. Thank you very much, Paul.
No, it's because if you say it that way.
Because I thought he was going to be one of my sleeper picks, Paul. Actually, I'll just full here. Just because he's so damn big. The guy's like pushing 6 foot now. He's like 6'8". There's not a huge amount of competition over there that he has to beat. Like, did he not have like the highest athletic score in the history of the combine? There's a lot of upside there with Zach Kuntz. So just he's one of my sleepers for later. So you got that already. But let's round out this draft. Let's get the last pick. I mean, I'm gonna go Tank Bigsby here. Michael Mayer did cross my mind, but again, I mean, Michael Mayer's a dime a dozen. I think in fantasy, you can pick this guy up. You may as well have Hayden Hurst on your team. Like he's like going to score roughly around the same amount of points as him. Probably, again, not because he's a bad player, but because he's such a good player. He's such a good blocker, and yeah, I'm not really interested in owning those tight ends really. So I'm going to take Tank Bigsby. He's going to get on the field. He's going to play a bit. And then with running backs at this stage, you're hoping for an injury, really. So if ETN gets injured, which we know historically he has, then Bigsby's got a shot. And at the back end of the second, I'll happily take that shot.